Well, thank you for coming out in this wonderful weather. It is Minnesota.
It's Roswell week, so of course it's going to be crummy weather.
Yeah, but we've had it way too nice, I guess. So tonight we're going to hear from Adam Jacobs, which is the city engineer, talking about the Center Street project and what has been designed, and then we'll have questions and all that great stuff. So I'll have Adam start off.
Yep, so like you said, I'm Adam Jacobs. I'm with Bolton Mink. I'm the consultant city engineer for the city of Adelia. What I got planned for you is I got a little presentation here. Shouldn't take too long. With that, I will go through what I got here laid out on the table. I'll kind of go through that on the screen, and then afterwards, when we're done, I'll open it up to questions, and then we can come up here, and if you guys have some specific, you want to look at your property and what's going on, we can get into more detail on that. So,
sorry, there should be little arrows to like.
can you guys see this TV all right, or is there too much glare?
Just hold it down and then it should start going down. Yeah.
Don't get too deep, man. Fall asleep. Okay. All right, so a little bit of the project background on this. The city of Adelia was awarded basically a grant from the state for $12.8 million in May of 2023. So what that was Chris went up to the Capitol and lobbied for money to do this project. I will say with that this is one of the largest grants I've seen that a city has been awarded. I looked at the ones that they awarded in May of 2023, and I think this was probably the biggest one for any city, one city. Most of them were more in the $4 to $5 million range. So this is an extraordinarily.
So please thank your representatives and senator and everybody that was behind us up there making this happen.
So the grant is for infrastructure improvements to Center Avenue from Old Highway 60 to the northern city limits, and then some of the adjacent roadways. The eligible items were, preliminary design, the design of the project, construction, which includes, installation of water, sewer, storm sewer improvements, street and sidewalks. This project is a vital starting point for future reconstruction projects in the city of Adelia. We're starting down at the lift station down there, so we're coming up with the mains and we're putting in this infrastructure so that it's going to allow us to branch off in the future for these future projects. Like I say, here's the project location. It's a great city of Adelia here. We're going all the way from the wastewater lift station down here by Old Highway 60. We're going all the way up to past the trailer courts to the northern city limits. So this is a very extensive project here. We got a couple of side streets we're considering or part of this project. So we got 4th Street South, 1st Street South. We're doing a little bit of a jog on Main Street, and then also 2 blocks on 1st Street North. So with this, we did get, like I said, we got the $12.8 million to do this project. Our goal is to do all this. Once we get to the final design and we bid it and we get hard numbers of what it's actually going to cost, we might have to scale back the size of the project, because anything over that $12.8 million, then the city is responsible for paying that and any of the overages. So, the city's not in much of a position to, add on to too much of the project. So there might be a case where we might consider pulling off a block or 2 off of this, or looking at doing something different with the pavement to reduce costs to get it at or below that $12.8 million. So what do these improvements include? They include the sanitary sewer. The existing sanitary sewer, it's a clay pipe with brick manholes that are in poor condition. We got cracked, broken, offset pipe. Tree roots are growing in there. We got high, I&I, which is, like groundwater that then gets into that, which then goes down the plant, and now we're paying to pump that groundwater out and also to treat it. So there's a lot of costs associated with that. So, we want to get rid of that. Our proposed improvements are put in a new 8 to 18 inch PVC pipe in the ground. We'll put in brand new manholes with that. Another portion of this project is we're putting in a dedicated line for Tony Downs to run from their southern facility to their northern facility. They're calling the MADX, which was the old Vandenberg site up there. So that's a whole separate line so that they can do some future expansion up there, and then it won't commingle with the city's sewage. Tony Downs needs to treat some of theirs because they get a lot of chicken fat and other stuff before it can be put into there. We are also deepening the sanitary sewer to, like I'm talking about, for those future reconstruct projects, that we can get the sanitary down so that when we branch out and go out further, we're getting depths and proper grades on that. Sanitary sewer services will be reconstructed from the main to the property lines for anybody who's got a sanitary service that goes out there. So, when we're talking sanitary sewer, here's a kind of a cutaway of the street of what we're talking about. We'll have these concrete manholes out in the middle of the street. Right now, all you see is the cover. There's going to be this mainline pipes that run between them. There's also these sanitary service lines that run over the house. So this is where we're running over, and we'll replace it out to the property line. Another component is water main. So the existing water main is 4 to 6 inches, ductile cast iron water main. Right now, this does not meet current design standards and fire flow requirements. So current standard is 8-inch minimum. So we're already kind of undersized. What that does is that doesn't allow enough flow through there. You can see a lot of the pressure you might see is, I don't know if some of you residents might, be down by Tony Downs, they turn on, your pressure might kind of go down. So what we're proposing to do is put in a new 8 to 12 inch water main through here. This is kind of like I say, it's that main corridor through town. We're going to be connecting, a 12-inch water main right to the plant, and we're going to run it all the way down Center Street. So what that's going to do is that's going to provide us with a nice start to get a bigger looping through the town and get rid of some of that 4 to 6 inch water main. We also put in, new fire hydrants and isolation valves so that, if we do have a water main break, that we can actually get on there and shut down the water and keep it more concise. Right now, if they have a water main break, they might be looking at, hey, we're going to go shut down a couple of valves, and if they don't hold, they got to go out further, so that it just impacts more people when they try shutting the water down. So here's that cutaway of what the water main will look like underneath the street. Here we got your main right here. We got these isolation shutoff valves that connect to that. We got leads here with a hydrant coming up, and then we'll have a tap that comes off of here. We'll put in a 1-inch plastic pipe to the right of way. We'll put in a new shutoff valve, a little curb stop. That's a little metal thing that you see in your yard. That's what we'll put in, and then we'll connect onto your existing there. Kind of the third underground component is the storm sewer. Right now we got the 12 to 30 inch pipe, concrete clay pipe. Again, routine maintenance and televising is done by the city staff on this. Cracked, broken, offset pipes. They're going down there, they're fixing manholes, catch basins are kind of falling in on themselves. What we're proposing to do is, putting in new 12 to 54 inch storm sewer here. we're going to increase the inlet capacity. Right now, they're, small little inlets there. We're putting in a little bit, 2x3 structures in there to catch those, and those will be sized to meet current city standards. Here is the cutaway for the storm sewer, and you got your manholes here. Here you got mains. You got your catch basins over here, your inlets. That's where the water gets in, comes down, and then it goes into the manholes. We also have some other sub drains, on the back of the road for both draining the underground of the road, and then also for sump pumps too. So it'll be a potential hookup for if you've got a sump pump and you don't want to have that just discharge in your yard, or you've got that hose across there, we could bury that in and then that'd be connected right into there. That'll also then prevent having water running down the curb and gutter at, throughout the year and having a wet spot all the time. Street, so the proposed improvements there, on Center Avenue, we have to do a 36-foot minimum urban roadway design along Center Avenue to meet the state aid standards. That provides us 11-foot driving lanes with a 7-foot parking on both sides. That will have curb and gutter. We're looking at putting concrete pavement on truck routes and in the downtown area. The truck routes are, the areas where 20 Downs is, down on the south end there. I'll get into that a little bit more when we get into, show you all the improvements, and then also up on the north end. We will do boulevard restoration. We're going to come through, we're taking out, I don't want to say pretty much right away to right away is what we're going to be impacting. So there's going to be some of those turf areas in your lawn that will get disturbed, and they'll get put back, and then they'll be seeded back to reestablish that turf. Sidewalk, I know this is going to be probably the biggest issue that you're going to have is that sidewalk is to be installed throughout the corridor in accordance with our Safe Routes to School plan. The city of Madelia and the schools went through a Safe Routes to School plan that identified areas within the city of where the sidewalk needs to go to provide an alternative means of transportation for kids to get to school. So right now we're putting in sidewalk is to be replaced where it currently exists. So if it's there now, we're putting it back. Sidewalk will be added to the east side of the roadway where no sidewalk exists. So that'll be from like 3rd Street South down to Old Highway 60 will be kind of the 3 key blocks where there isn't sidewalk, and we're proposing to put in sidewalk. We're also up by the railroad tracks. We're going to be improving that crossing up there, where we'll have a dedicated sidewalk crossing up there to reach up to the trailer courts. We'll also be putting in ADA compliant pedestrian ramps, so that's going to be the knockdown curves with the little bumpy things on that. Those will go at all the intersections. One of the other bigger changes is we're going to be installing bump outs on Main Street. And then I mentioned the ped crossing at the railroad. So here's kind of your cross section of the street and the sidewalk. So you got your sidewalk, driveway, your boulevard in here, curb and gutter along the side to collect that storm water. Then we'll have our pavement section with the aggregate base there.
Can I ask you a quick question about that before I forget to circle back to it? So certain properties probably are pushing right up to the legal setback, and now you're talking about widening the street plus adding a sidewalk in there. How is that going to affect all the setbacks I know that's going to affect my property for sure. I literally stand to lose 50% of the property that I have between the building and the street if you're going to do what you're saying you're doing.
Could I answer that one once we get into it further, and then
Yep.
we can
Absolutely.
specifically get into your property too? Okay. The other one with this too is that we got private utilities that go through there, electricity, telecommunications, natural gas. they're also in the boulevards there. We will be working with their service provider on getting the necessary relocation or replacement, as our design progresses. The private utility owners will be responsible for this work. We don't necessarily have control over them. We do tell them that they need to relocate it, but they're not under direct contract from us. So with that, sometimes their schedule is to be determined. Sometimes they come in before the project. Otherwise, they might be in here during the project to do that. So typically you see a lot of their utilities are out here in the boulevard too, where it's going to be in the boulevard or underneath the sidewalk, and that's where those are located. So you kind of put all this together, this is what you're seeing here. The green, this is the sanitary, the orange, that's the storm, the blue is the water main. So you can see that, you drive over that street, you might not think there's much there, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on underground. So the point I want to make with that is that when we come along to do this project, you can see how many different times we're going to have to come by with a backhoe to dig a trench. So for each utility, we have to dig a separate trench. They're going to go by 3-4 separate times with the backhoe, with that road ripped up. Why can't they just do it all at once? They wouldn't have any place to throw the dirt, and they'd be right up to your front door and onto your roofs. So that's the reason why they have to kind of constrain it to do it one at a time, and that's going to be the most efficient way for them to put that together. This is what I talked about with the downtown. We're putting in bump outs here, so it's going to be a little bit different up there. The reason for the bump outs is to help with the pedestrian traffic and narrow up what the crossings are on that. We have this area with this jog. It's not, with those intersections being offset and that close, that's not very ideal. With this will help us to get cars out here. It'll get the pedestrians out further, where they get out further from the parked cars. They can see traffic coming. Traffic can see the pedestrians coming. They're not hidden behind a parked car and then all of a sudden walk out in front of them.
Can I ask a question about that? So there's 2 blind spots and I walk this all the time with my little kids. Behind Sunshine there's just like, it goes straight into the street, and it's really hard to see there. And I know that's not on the map. It might be Sunshine's property or the lumberyard, I don't know. But there's a really bad blind spot that, I don't know if that's in factor at all with how they're going to design that.
You're talking about the street back up one?
Next time on First Street intersection, first and second.
Well, I'm talking about Sunshine's driveway in there.
The alley.
The alley is really bad. And then on the other side of the lumberyard, there's several, places it's really hard to see when you're walking for traffic. And there is traffic unexpectedly in there. Anyway, just something I was curious about.
With the Sunshine Foods, what we're doing with this intersection too is we're proposing to kind of reorientate their parking lot for a couple of reasons. Right now they have an entrance that's up here. They got one that kind of comes in, I believe, right about here, and then they got a third one over here. We're looking at consolidating this to have one entrance off the center and then one on the very east end of Main. So what that's going to do is that's going to close this one off here, so that we're not getting that, cars kind of coming out of here wanting to go down here. It just gets to be too congested right there. So you can see that we're proposing to reorientate their parking lot to be more north-south parking as opposed to east-west. We are basically putting back the same amount of parking there, so they're not losing anything. And we just think that this will flow a lot better and provide a better parking experience up there. Anybody with a larger vehicle knows that when they pull in there, it gets to be kind of hard to get in a few of those stalls, so you're parking, on this east end, and this gets to be kind of hairy if that gets busy. So That's kind of the big changes, I would say, is the bump outs downtown, kind of redoing with redoing the parking lot at the grocery store, or reorientating that.
How wide is the street between the grocery store and the liquor store?
I believe that is about 48 feet face to face.
So the 36-foot requirement?
Correct,
is
yeah, so
Okay.
36 is the minimum. So, and I believe about everything north of Main Street was fine. South of Main, I believe, from Main to First, that was a 39-foot wide street. You know, from First to Third, I believe, is like a 32, and further south it was 34. So yes, it is getting wider by, I think a couple of them are 2 to 4 feet.
So the actual right-of-way is going to be moved for those people where the street gets wider, right?
No, right of way is not moving. We're fixing everything within the right of way. Yep.
But if you have to make the street 4 foot wider,
So the right of way through there is either it's 60, I believe it's 60 feet from Old Highway 60 up to Third, and then it goes up to, or maybe it's 66 down there, and then it drops down for 6 feet, and it's like 60 feet through here. So we do have a 60-foot corridor to put this through. So, kind of going through the project, I'll go through this kind of fast, because afterwards, and we can come up here and we can play through your guys' property. But on this map, orange is the storm sewer, green is the sanitary, blue is the water main, the magenta is the Tony Downs line. So, as you can see, we're going all the way down to the river with the storm outlet. Here's the lift station. We're coming down here with the sanitary. You know, as we get into Old Highway, past Old Highway 60, you start seeing all 3 colors, you know, all 4 colors here. We're putting in all those utilities. This lighter gray color, that's going to be where we're putting in the bituminous, tar road, you know, whatever you want to call it. This darker gray, this is where concrete's going to be. We have that proposed. You can see along here, we're putting sidewalk for this first block. It's going to be right on the back of the curb to kind of minimize the disturbance down there. As we come up to the north here, I'm just going to mention this is where a few of you folks live. This is where we're putting in a 5-foot boulevard with a 5-foot sidewalk. So that's going to be running through there. You can see too, you know, with the improvements through here, we're going to be getting into your driveway, so there will be a portion of that removed. You can see this dark line along here. These are where the right of way is. So, you know, we're staying within that. You know, we could have pushed the sidewalk out further, but, you know, we want to be mindful of, you know, getting into your, encroaching on your yard, so we kept that 5-foot minimum boulevard there. So as we come up 4th, we are going down 4th Street here, improving, getting a better storm sewer, because there's a lot of, they've been complaints about some flooding down here, inadequate drainage there. So as we keep moving off Center, you know, here again, here's another block where we're putting the sidewalk on that east side. This is where it'll switch back to Bituminous Road.
I'm on Center and 4th, and I have they installed, I think it's fiber optic or something. They have a box right in my corner, so how's that going to work with the sidewalk?
That goes back to working with all the utilities.
Yep, so they're within our right, or the city's right of way by permit, so, you know, if we tell them that they need to move it, they need to.
Just put it there. Really?
Just have another quick thought, only because I experience this every time it snows in the winter time. I have a property on 3rd Street North, and it has the narrow boulevard like you're talking, and every time the snowplow trucks come down the street, they roll the snow off the road along the entire length of my property and put plowed snow onto the sidewalk that I then have to try to chisel off of there to remove. And it looks to me like you're proposing the same thing all the way up center right there, that they're gonna be winging the snow right onto the length of the entire block after block of sidewalk. I don't know if that's been thought about, but it's something you need to consider. But that is a pain in the you-know-what.
Correct, and that's the kind of that trade-off. Yes, wider boulevards are preferred for snow storage. The minimum one I would design to put in is probably about a 4-foot one. So, we're, exceeding that minimum of going to 5 foot. Yes, if we extend that out, we push that out further, that just means the sidewalk's getting closer to people's homes and a little bit more disruption there. So, yes, it's kind of that balancing act of, yes, we have snow, how many snow events do you get a year that becomes a problem versus
Almost all of them.
well, yeah. So as we kind of work up here, you can kind of see the extents, right through here, 3rd Street, there's existing sidewalk here, so that's, this is all kind of going back in, as proposed, other than the streets getting a little bit wider. Here's 1st Street, this is where we're coming down. The big one on this one is to get connected down to the water plant and getting that, water line out here so we can get the bigger water main in there. We will be coming up through here, downtown area. We're going to be replacing the concrete kind of building face to building face up there. Extents are, right where it widens out down here right now. That's about the extents on the east end. On the west end, we're going, this is the brewery, so we're getting a little bit into the bank there, not quite down to their entrance. On the north side, that would be just past Anytime Fitness, and then the liquor store. Then again, as we keep going up center, like I say, we're kind of replacing building face to building face along there. 1st Street North. We will be reconstructing all this from Benzel all the way down to Adams, down to the school. So you can see we're putting in the concrete roadway there, redoing sidewalk on both sides. Excuse me.
Does the sidewalk pretty much stay where it's at on the north side? I'm on 1st Street, now, east side.
You want to go down this way?
Yeah.
Yep. So
I am the 3rd house in from the right on the north side.
This one?
That's mine, yeah.
Yep. So I would say the sidewalk's probably going in about the same location.
Are you taking out my 2 giant trees?
If there's a tree in the boulevard, we are planning on taking it out. And the reason, I know they're beautiful, but they're pain in the butt on infrastructure. And what we see a lot of times is that trees are great, looking above ground, underground, they're messing with your. If you got, like I say, if you got a clay service that's going into your house, you're getting root intrusions on that. You can kind of plug that up. The other thing too is that they start moving with their root balls, they start moving the sidewalk, they start moving the curb and gutter.
That's fine, we gotta do what we gotta do. That road is really bad for kids. It is the death trap, I'm sorry to say, and that's right where the drop off is, and we're constantly, my kids almost got hit the other day, so again. So, I don't care about the trees as much as, I'm just wondering, is the sidewalk staying there?
Yep.
Okay, so, and then you're adding,
And the sidewalk will be put in at a minimum of 5 foot wide. Where there's a boulevard, it's going to be 5 foot. If it's on the back of the sidewalk, then it's 6 foot. So I think some of the sidewalk out there right now is maybe 3.5, 4 feet wide. So it'll get a little bit wider. Yep.
okay. Just wider, or is it going to be set? How big is the boulevard going to be there?
Along here, I think this one's more than 5 feet. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, Okay, so we will lose some of our.
I think you'll lose maybe your boulevard. I think the back of your sidewalk was pretty much right on the property line, so that's where we're holding that. So the wider is getting wider towards the street.
Because will that increase visibility somehow in there? Because it's really bad there for kids crossing.
Through here,
Yeah, because what happens is the second house in, sorry, I'm just gonna be candid, they have 4 cars that park on the street, and they're there all the time. So when people are turning in to First Street, I can hardly see backing up my driveway. And then by the time I get to the end of the driveway, there's cars blocking my view, and then by the time I try to get past those cars, somebody's turned going left down Drew and almost hits me. So I mean, it's just, that's getting out. Coming back, cars are on both sides there, and the way they cross the kids is they cross them on the opposite side of my house. So then the kids have to go between the driveway, and then there's cars, so they're walking between parked cars all the time. And then because it's so congested there, and when the
Sure.
cars turn, they almost get hit there.
and that's been I know one thing, I think with the safe routes to school, this project really isn't addressing anything with the drop-offs over here. I think that's,
We're going to have future conversations with the school, in the coming year to talk about that side as well as the other side. Construction's really not on that side as well. Like I said, there's not enough.
Visibility, I mean, it's just hard, and it's, I don't know whether I should say it, but it's just bad.
I'm guessing that just improvement is not gonna fix that, but I think that's a conversation that you and I need to have in regards to maybe how to address that whole area. That is a very narrow street, especially when both of them are parked on both sides and stuff. So if you can have that conversation with me. But I don't believe that the improvements are going to help that visibility.
But they're not really, just they are. Because just.
this one, I think we're widening just a hair.
But it might be approached to do like a traffic study to look at different alternatives, parking only on one side, maybe looking at different ways of dealing with that. But that isn't with this. This would be a separate conversation, and then we would have to approach Rob and the council and stuff in that regards.
I'd rather not get affected them, so I probably will not participate in that discussion.
Okay,
It was a big deal,
okay. Sorry.
So I'm just, it would be nice if it were to help somehow visibility on that street, because I can pretend to be hopeful about working with the school city when I'm not.
One other thing I want to point out about the utilities along here, we are proposing of putting a sanitary line in here. Right now, the houses along here, they go in the backyards, and it's kind of a mystery, and we tried to do some investigation on exactly where all these services go. And as a part of this project, we'll put in the main, and we're going to stub out sanitary for the homeowners here, so if
Ours does go to the back, and then it's a dead end, and they converted everything to the front. So I know that ours goes to the front, for sure.
front of your house. See, that's interesting because we don't have any other like sanitary going down there. So there's some mystery down there that we don't have all the answers to. We try to investigate that with televising and that, and it's just, we couldn't get it. So, we're planning on putting these in here. We're gonna stub out for you. So that if you want to connect up to them right away, great. If you want to wait on what's happening, and if something happens in the future to that service line in the backyards, then you'll have the opportunity. Here will be a stub in for you that then you can hook up to.
because those sewer lines that are running in the back are considered a main, and so the city doesn't actually maintain them. We will maintain the one in the road, and so if something does happen, you have that other alternative.
Yeah, no, they tore up the whole backside, so I know that they found the pipe and it just went nowhere. And then, yeah, so it went nowhere, it's a broken pipe, and then every time they go to jet it, they follow it down there, and then they turn it around, and then they follow it out to the front. So I don't know when that happened with our house, but it's running to the front of our house.
If you see an unknown pond, don't swim in it. Sorry.
So continuing north, we're replacing kind of everything in kind. We are eliminating the sidewalk that goes along here because it just ends up going into Tony Downs' loading dock there, and they have semis that are crossing that anyway, so we don't want to bring the pedestrians down that. So this half block is getting eliminated from the project. Here we are also improving the railroad crossing. We're looking at, boring under here with the utilities. And then the surface improvements here, brand new crossing, it'd be like a concrete panels. We're working with the railroads.
No more railroad ties crossways in the street?
Yeah, then we'll rip those up that are down here. You can see those, you've probably seen those, the rails are still stuck in there. So, yep, that'll get ripped out. We'll get a new crossing. Hopefully that smooths that through. We were looking at putting in signals on that, and when we approached the railroad about that, MnDOT has that slated for 2029 to get a signal and a gate. So that will not get put in as part of this project. It'll still be a stop sign and a crosswalk, but that is on the schedule for a future project to be put in.
Can you put crossing arms in there?
That's what they indicated, that when they redo it, there'll be lights, and then they put in the gates too. So, like I say, that's going to be 2029, and they pretty much fund, I thought they said 100% of that, didn't they, or 90%, or?
Just because that's on their docket, and because it's rated one of, it's had so many accidents that
Yeah, it's high traffic, too.
So we will design, we got to design so that it'll meet that it's for the future signal, so when they come in, they don't really have to rip up anything or much, hopefully. And then continuing north, this is where the concrete will end here at 4th Street, and then we'll go to Bituminous the rest of the way. And that's kind of the top end of the project. So schedule, we'll be finalizing the plans by January 2025. We're looking to open bids January, February of 2025. Construction will then start in spring of 2025, and then it'll be a 2-year project. We're looking at substantial completion in fall of 2026. With this being as large of a project as it is, we thought it would be pertinent to do this over a 2-year span. We are not dictating to the contractor that they need to get to a certain point, the first year. It kind of allows them to open up their schedule. If they want to, come in and hit it hard the first year, they can attack as much as they can get done. Through that first winter, everything will be, we'll require them to be buttoned up, hard surface again over the winter, so there's not going to be, a gravel patch or something. So if they rip up the street, they got to get it back to a hard surface for that following winter.
Do you know yet which half you're doing when or where you're starting?
It'll be starting down at the south end. Everything's going to go from Highway 60, and it'll be working to the north. So I anticipate that Main Street's going to be kind of that halfway cutoff point. So I anticipate the first year they're either going to get up to Main Street or get through Main Street, and then and maybe a block north. But that's kind of where I'm envisioning it. But like I say, I'm not dictating that through our contract. We'll let them decide, you know, how much workforce. Maybe they come in the first year and they only get up to Second Street South, and then they're gonna hit it real hard that next year. So, that'll be determined, and we'll know more once we get a contractor on board. With that, that's kind of the end of my presentation. I guess if you guys have got any other questions, or if you guys just want to come up and then, you know, talk about, you know, I got a map right up here, we can draw on this and talk about your place. So I'll open that up to questions. What was yours, Will? I forgot.
Well,
Your
you have
initial
your
one.
map up there, it didn't look like you added sidewalk on the west side of North Center, past the 300 block, or, you know, the 3rd Street, so maybe it's not a thing at all. I didn't see it on there,
And then on
On
the
the
east
east
side,
side, isn't it?
because I do have, trailers, you know, and stuff displayed on the east side of my building, and if you were adding a sidewalk through there, I would lose all my display lots in the whole version.
Keep going up
You're talking
north.
about this?
No,
Keep
people
going
like
north.
that actual.
Oh, your actual shop.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sidewalks on the-
yeah, that one right
Yep.
there.
sidewalks on the.
No, I mean, really the only thing we're gonna do here, I mean, you got the sidewalk out front, that'll get, a portion of that will get replaced.
Yeah.
And then this is, you know, just kind of an incidental getting into your driveway and putting in a new driveway apron.
But it was, the reasoning for the east side is to keep them away from the semis,
Right,
so they can turn that corner and go out, so.
so to that, I was encouraged when you were talking about opening up the storm sewer inlets and things like that up there, but know this, they better be built strong, because right now, every one of them is crushed into the ground from the trucks driving on them.
Wow.
Yeah, and
So
that's,
they will need to withstand the weight of trucks driving on them, because believe me when I tell you, they will be driving on them.
yeah, and the structures we're putting in now compared to the ones we got,
If you go look at every intersection from there north, they're all pushed into the ground, every one of them.
yeah. Another thing too we're doing here is we're increasing this radius here, kind of help out with that truck traffic too. I think a lot of the catch basins are like right in the mid radius, but yes, that's the part they're gonna get run over. We always try to get them outside of those radiuses and then out a little bit further.
So like on the one, there's one on the north side of the street, they're right on my corner, that one's pounding straight down into the street. And then back on the other corner on Third, there's one on both north of Third and south of Third, and those are both pounded all the way into the ground from them driving on them. Because they don't respect the street at all. They drive all over my property up there. They do not confine the traffic to the street. They're up on the boulevard, they're up in the lawn, they're everywhere. They've gone up in between Catherine's house and my warehouse there and done U-turns in the grass, no shit.
They did you turn it here.
Yeah, more than once, many more than once. One time it was in March and he went in that deep.
That's another issue.
I don't know how he didn't have to call a tow truck to get it out. But yeah, they do not respect anything with infrastructure, other people's property, or a damn thing, nothing. So I'm just saying, make sure everything is built well, because it will get pounded.
Yeah, and that's what we're, you know, planning on through here, and I know we got that, there's a big apron now, I think you got some agreement with Tony Downs about what that
Thought
costs.
that would keep them happy, it did not. They actually sent a realtor to me to say, hey, we'll give you 20 grand for the whole corner. Didn't take me long to respond with a big, you know what, to that.
So on another note, I just want to let everybody know that any property owner, there is no assessments on this project. So this is fully funded. So just so that you guys know that this is a gift, huge gift to all of you guys.
I can vouch for the need for the sewer up on the north end, because every single time it either rains or we have any type of significant snow melt, the sanitary sewer stops working on that whole north end of town, so, but I mean, I look forward to all these improvements, no doubt.
It just might be a little inconvenient at times, and I'm hoping that we can all communicate and talk about it and everything. I did want to point out, there has been projects in the past that I have done, when we talk about turf restoration. Contractors promise you the world. I'm going to tell you that they're not always going to be there. So you need to help out with a little bit of watering, a little bit of seeding. If you want your grass to look beautiful, you're going to have to help out. I'm just going to let you guys know that.
Well, they're required to get in there to seed it. It's they'll get in there, they'll seed it, but then it's up to kind of Mother Nature of whether that grass is going to grow. And
if it's 90 and doesn't rain for 2 weeks, it's not going to grow. It's going to grow and die.
I'm going to be completely honest, and it happened on not only our I think it was 5th Street down on the other end. Paul Lane, he was out there watering, he made it look beautiful. The other ones maybe didn't, and we're expecting somebody to come back. It would just be, just help us out. Water tower grass, that was awful. We ended up having to reseed it, and that's our own project. So when they promise you turf, I'm just asking everybody on this project to help out. If you see that you have some issues and you need to water or do something, just...
Gotta be realistic about that.
You gotta be realistic.
So, so they're picking up the trees back. Can I get some more trees, or is there going to be any kind of?
I think we had a conversation. I think so. Lions Club had a potential tree project. They had a bunch of things like that. So it's community partnerships like that might be able to come in.
But the other thing is like Adam touched base on. Where is your sewer connection? Where is your water connection? Where is all that stuff? I know those trees look beautiful in those places, but take that in consideration where you put them. You might not see the effects of it, but somebody 25 years down the road might see the effects of what those roots are going to do to those connections. That's all that I ask that you take in consideration. I do know that Ben knows a few different trees that are preferred on a boulevard, and we can get you that.
I don't mind moving them to a different part, like a little bit.
I would just take in your infrastructure as your main consideration. They might look nice in that one spot, but remember if your sewer's coming out that way, please plan it further away.
Yeah, we've seen too many of them that are,
Yeah.
here's the curb stop and there's a 24-inch tree right on top of it.
No, that's fine, I don't care what you're doing.
My recommendation would be to put them behind on private property and not have them in the boulevard. But
That would be,
Yeah, no, I agree, I just wondered if I could get one on my lawn then.
yeah, definitely, but just make sure, stay away from your infrastructure, that's all.
So we find our own trees then?
What was that?
Or do you provide the trees?
right here,
No, not at this time, unless there's an organization that wants to come in and
Yep.
donate. Right now, we want to make sure that we
Will
can
be.
get everything
With
that
that
is
is,
get it done with the money that is given to us.
I'll say this, if you want it, not necessarily ripped up and all that, I gotta imagine within, yeah, so right here is the right-of-way line. So that's a good question, you're talking about any landscape items that are within the right-of-way, we would, expect to try to get them out of there.
Why does, curious, why does the like driveway path move to the south?
The only reason for that is when they take an aerial photo like this, like it'll line up on one spot, but when you get down there, there's not.
You're not moving.
No, we're not, it'll match the list on there. And, the other thing too, I want to point out to you is, yes, when we come through here, this road is going to be ripped up.
And redoes everything.
You're not going to have access to your driveway for a period of time.
If they start.
No, it's not gonna be 9 months. I mean, we'll put it on here. I mean, if you look at here, they got 4 different utilities they gotta come through, to put this through. They gotta come back and do services. So there's gonna be, I would probably say at least a month.
That this is where the connection's gonna go.
Then they might come back in and get at least get the aggregate in, and then they can ramp in your driveway and things like that, That way they get the underground in, and then when they come back to do the surface improvements, then they just open more of a chunk for the surface. And then at that time, you won't be able to get into there.
Are they making these corners left?
Down with that M&I, and then we make sure that connection is provided. Yep.
You're saying these radius?
Yeah.
I think these will probably match in kind of what the existing is. Yeah, so, we're looking at the 10 to 15 foot radius. This one's gonna get bigger because of
That would be the same
Yeah, so we did widen that out some. I mean, I don't know if they still might jump it, but.
There's that, what do you call it, catch basin right here?
Yep.
All the water from here comes all the way down, and literally floods.
Boils up, boils up there.
So will that be big enough to handle all of this water?
Absolutely. So this pipe here is gonna be,
And we're talking 54 inches.
we got a 54 inch pipe here, this is gonna be 48 inch pipe. That's a 4 foot tall pipe, so I mean, you think of that. What we got here right now, I believe, is like a
So
20.
I would call a plumber and
So
actually.
capacity wise, it's,
But he's got different ones.
Yes.
I know it's another project. 4 or 5 spots here where
we have some type
the storm is,
yeah, the storm, and they just throw gravel in and put that and put lanyard over the top of it.
correct. And what I think they're theorizing what's happening with that is, that's where, you're saying it's boiling up here. So what's happening with this pipe is it becomes completely full of water, and what it's doing is it's trying to push out through the joints. And then when it comes back, then the water comes back in when it comes, and then it brings the soil with it. So that's why you're getting little depressions in each one of those.
So then she was measuring from.
This project is not only success
36 feet farther out than.
The thing with this is we're gonna abandon that pipe. We're gonna cut this off because now this is all gonna go down right now.
So I know that was something
for here. So everything here has to go down 4th Street.
she found instead of right over that. We can still take 36 feet off that.
We're sizing that and to kind of take that, that's gonna help alleviate some pressure on
First
that.
up, I call in a plumber. First up, I call in a plumber and see where everything is coming.
They're ready.
And that's usually, that is usually
Yeah,
year.
and what we've seen with other residents, they get those, dig them back, dig them up, and then just pull them back. Monitor it right away. We can kind of work around it somewhat, but, with the sidewalk going back in, we'll have to work to get it.
I have a question about sidewalk. Why did you determine that it's gonna be on the east side instead of the west side of the street?
We like it on West.
That's a great, that's the question. How does that determine? So on this block, so we're looking at these blocks, right? These 3 blocks. Yep. So what we look at here is that with the truck traffic turning this way, we don't want it, so we put it on this side, now we got crosswalks going where we got pedestrians going where the trucks are turning. So that was one. The other one that we looked at too is that, what does it look like for grade wise getting that put in there? This side is a lot flatter, out through here. Down through here, we got some pretty steep slopes going through there. So when we put in a sidewalk, we have to be ADA compliant, so basically it has to be flat for 5 feet. So if you already got a pretty steep slope, now you can put in a real flat sidewalk, the remaining slope gets to be really, really steep. So that also affects driveways and that too. So, the other thing too is that there's already a sidewalk here on this side of the street. So if we were gonna plot over here, we would be putting in, brand new sidewalk on this side of the street. So that was part of our.
Just remember, you have to work out that you're not for months at a time. Not months at a time.
Yep, that's old sidewalk, so.
All of these trees that are on the road trees are in the garden.
Right, but
Between the sidewalk and
It'll
the,
be-
we're proposing that we're gonna be let down.
I think we
So,
gotta be.
there's a couple things with that too, when we're digging right by there, The root structure of some of those trees,
I
you get service that go off this, sometimes you're digging pretty close to the trees to get that service in. You're kind of cutting that root structure, nice big tree, you get wet weather and a nice windy day.
What is
Now
actually gonna
the tree can potentially fall over, so it's, yes, they do provide a great amount of shade in that, but,
We already talked about that because they're looking at, they're looking at trying to figure out a way to unload and reduce their operation.
it'll be a 5-foot boulevard and then a 5-foot size.
It's for truck drivers, it's nothing to do.
I know.
I got no oil against that.
Yes, it's only a 36-foot wide street, I don't recall what the existing is now, it's either a 32 or 34.
They come up here and go right in and they never leave the street. Never. These are the homes that come up from down south.
I think that when we did the street widening, we did about both on the side, so yes, it could be 12 feet, it might be like 10 to 12 west side.
Because he couldn't find the street. He couldn't find the street, but he could.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Where's your maple tree?
So there. Okay.
Yes, so what's
I just can't be. These guys did transition on this year. And
That's interesting.
and
I never see those kids, so they must walk slower than me or something.
Most of them have care. They got some
it's just an issue.
Yeah, like Chris said, I mean, with assessments, if this was a typical project that we're assessing, probably looking at assessment in the $15,000 to $15,000 range.
I guess I'm wondering, is there anything we can do to just make the facility? Because what's happening is, cars are turning up there.
And then, other questions during construction, mail, all that, mail, garbage, it's gonna be kind of the same thing, you're gonna bring your garbage out there, contractor will pick up your thing and make sure that your garbage gets down. Mail, you guys have
I know
let's say a walking route right here, so that's not gonna be disturbed.
But that's what I'm talking about.
So are you saying that doesn't work out, almost like block by block, so we're just then I'll work on this and I'll work there?
I wouldn't say it's just gonna be, they're gonna just confine themselves to this block, it might be, they might go off of a 3-block stretch where they're gonna come down here. What they typically do is they put in what's the deepest pipe, that's usually the sanitary is the deepest pipe. They'll put that in first, come back, probably put in the water main, it's kind of the next deepest pipe, come back, put in the storm sewer, and then by that time, they gotta do some testing on the water before they can be hooked up. That's another thing, so when they come to do this, we gotta take the water main out of commission, so there'll be a temporary water service that'll be hooked up, so it'll be like a 2-inch blue line it'll be going across your yards, and then they'll connect that at your house, whether it's going into your water service, or sometimes they'll go into the hose spigot on your house, and then they back feeds into that way.
Drive the wrong way. I don't know if this is part of the safety of the school.
So, water disruption should be to a minimum. If you're without water for more than 4 hours, that'd be give someone a phone call, because that's not safe.
Do they notify us if we're gonna get out of water?
Correct. Yep, with water being shut down, they're required to give notice of, you know, like a day's notice to say, hey, we're planning on shutting the water off from 8 to 12, when they get the water connection. No, the answer is, you shouldn't have any disruptions with that. You know, as they come through here, you know, if they,
So I think for my house,
you know,
pretty much.
replace that main, they'll see your service coming in, they'll pump that in, and then they'll come back in, and then they'll put in their,
So that's what I was told to do.
they'll put in your service out there. So, you know, if they're being a little nasty to you and you see that they're working on your service, you can flush the toilet a couple times.
Yeah, anyway, I think it should just not keep that in mind. I don't understand.
Yeah, and we'll have, you know, as this goes on, if we get a contractor, you know, we'll have, newsletters that go out, so we'll be in communication with the residents so that you guys are aware of what's going on, and that's kind of the biggest thing is maintaining that communication, because that's, to me, that's where
This project is happening.
you guys don't go through this, I go through this all the time, so I know what the process is. You guys know that, as long as we can keep you informed of what's going on.
No way to raise money with our working in the spring.
So that we get the grade and everything the same, okay?
Yeah, so we receive bids and whatever, we do that all the time with our process, so.
During the project. You just want to know when they are available, and I said what they're available.
Oh, I appreciate you guys coming up. Thank you.
And it's all the copy.
Or you already have one on there? And you have,
So from the.
I have to do that.
From the gutter all the way up to 10 feet.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
And I've been running
No, I get it.
to close the rest of that.
I'm one of those people, like,
And they're already.
okay, when I receive the stuff,
Absolutely.
we don't really replace it with an board that are there, and then you don't have already something there.
yeah, exactly.
You're welcome, whatever, we want to replace it with an apron.
So, because that's.
But, I mean, just,
Because as I
Well,
see
like
it
the
right
first
now,
thing that you're like, I did
this
those
is
lives,
currently
like, there's so
gravel.
many questions and answers.
You know, right to
And so I'm just
the,
responding
all the way
to 20
along.
different comments on Facebook, no,
Or-
or videos.
Because this, I'm assuming is the curb line, looks very clearly like that's the curb line.
Yeah, the aerial photo might be shifted a little bit just because of, it's not.
I'm just saying, if you're,
you have an apron right now, and it looks like you're gonna pour an apron.
Correct.
and the reason I was asking about that is because, I've already been talking about just, okay, so you can kind of see from that picture, it's concrete from there to there, and I've been going to just concrete all the way to the street, and so I would just definitely not do that until this is over with anyways, but if this was a proposed, like, apron in front of there, then that,
This is, we could probably work with you of, providing where you want that apron to go, or, you know, the reason we put in these concrete aprons is, I mean, you'll see this along, I don't know if I got a good example, but, you know, if you don't have that, you just get the gravel that washes off.
Yeah.
So it starts getting into the kind of basins or something,
Okay.
you know, so that ends up going down.
I just wanted to make sure that you are posing those those concrete aprons when they're not existent.
Correct.
Okay.
Where we're putting that one in, at all driveways, you're gonna get a 5-foot concrete apron. You know, the other side, if they got a sidewalk, it's gonna go through the sidewalk and,
sweet, okay. And then, what is it optional as far as what is curb and what is drive over gutter, for what distance, or do you have that all predetermined?
You
Is that
already,
open for discussion?
what do you already have for your curb cut right now? What is actually listed right here, or is it go from here to here?
It's the grade, the light gray.
Curb cuts, we don't usually like to go huge on them, why, what are you looking at?
No, I'm just asking, if that's up for grabs or it's stays the way it is or what, if this would make a difference possibly on what or how I would do something, not that it's better or worse one way or the other, but just is it an option or not?
Do you feel the curb cut that you currently have is adequate?
If I had my perfect world, I wouldn't mind going farther this way, not necessarily all the way to that sidewalk, but partly because I do have customers that come up in here and turn and drop off the curb. That's the only reason I buy it.
Can you tell me how many feet that is? Not tonight, you go out measure, and then.
So, yeah, because you're curious about this distance right here because of the ordinance that we buried this deal right here.
Yep. So let me know what you
And
feel
that number
is.
was 60, 30, I can't remember what it was.
Well,
I remember you told me, but I just can't remember. It was a
why
couple
don't
years
you,
ago.
why don't you measure what you think you need, and Adam and I will discuss and see what kind of impact it actually makes.
Yeah, I think typically then residential, we like a minimum of 12, max of 24, you know, unless they have
And only.
that or, you know, we're matching that in. Commercial, yeah, you can get up to 30, 36.
And at least rather more already.
You know, that's the width of a street, so I mean, that's,
I would say that's all parking that already for sure.
yeah, so then, but, I mean, you can approach the council.
Yeah, why don't you just come back with what you
And like I
think?
say, it's not a huge issue for me one way or the other. I'm just looking at, is it even an option to consider that? If it is, I'll consider it. If it's not,
Yep.
that's all. I'm not really pushing for one over the other or anything, just what are my options.
Do you have the map with you in regards to your group, or for your, connection points? Because
Maybe.
you know what water and sewer is from him.
Yeah, because I want to replace everything while you've got this opened up, just because it's all from 1971, and I think it's just a perfect opportunity to do it.
I think yours comes in on this. I think we were showing, like, we were getting in here, I think it was here. So we were, and then we do have that showing, I remember seeing that today.
I believe it, and I believe when you say that. I was heard that everything they were locating was here, not here, so I think that.
Like, these businesses have.
So maybe it's not even, I was always just thinking that the sanitary went from here straight out to center, but it's very well, I know that the water line doesn't, but I thought maybe the sewer did.
I think we had yours showing coming up.
Yeah.
And I think I know we did televising on this. I think we had televising on there, so I think we're pretty confident that.
This is very problematic here. I don't know where the issue is, and maybe you know exactly what it
It's
is.
something with the railroad in there,
Because
that's
every
very
time
common.
you get any significant rainfall or big snow out, nothing flushes, nothing like for a day. Maybe your plunger.
Well, and then
Every time there's a water.
Well, and that's kind of the thing with the sanitaries is, you know, so much I, so when we get that rain, that's getting to the sanitary where we don't want it. You know, so that's getting in there. I know with the rains in June, we had a pump up here that they had to bypass, you know, so.
I was in close to the flood.
We shouldn't be having those issues up there, so, you know, overall on the whole system, I mean, we found some plans where, you know, down here that they're showing the sanitary, it was called, you know,
Are you
combined
going
sewer.
to Fairmont?
So, we know that the storm was connected to
My struggle is like, I have community groups.
I always laugh about the thing that people are spending around.
I know, everybody's jealous of me.
Which I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for summer.
Your oil in the hole.
Oh, she's moving to wherever Logan is based.
They said in Popular Science magazine.
So, but her sister also wants to be my
It
intern,
doesn't fly.
which is her sister.
So
So I was just like, I'm like, well, so
it's nice that it's all.
wait, and they both step in, and nobody would know.
We'll have plenty of surprises, hopefully we can get
So, yeah.
a few of them figured out.
We could go see some of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was doing the whole sidewalk, I'm thinking we're bringing sidewalks.
Yeah.
I know it's not.
No,
Yeah, they're taking
from the truck traffic.
Yeah.
But we also needed to get a step to get up. I mean.
Apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all over the street.
and
I mean, everybody's careful. Like,
I was doing it.
changes what us.
Yeah, so I don't know.
we did more residents like
Well, there's just.
I mean, especially if this was I'm glad that we weren't discussing, because I'm sure there'd be more anger, but.
I had those questions when I first started here, just too, because, you know, this, you know.
We have multiple properties,
And then I thought, well, just have them pay mine. They drive all over the record, anyways, they got paid.
Yeah, that's unfortunate with this long dock, because I mean, that's the first thing that, you know, we look at the sidewalks, like, oh, what do we do with this? And then we go on Google Earth, or just drive out there, you know, it says, the trucks are sitting almost out the street.
Yeah, when I remember the sidewalk, when all this stuff was originally done, semi-trailers were 42 feet long, et cetera, you know, now the trailers are, red truck, box truck. Not just like the grocery store, I mean, that used to be a little box bread truck back in there now. You put a semi truck comes in there, dropping their bread in the top and all that. It never was made to be that way, but I get why it is that way, because it didn't used to be. Now it's a thing, you know. Stuff changes, I mean, that's just how.
It's supposed to be more than
continue.
And I don't even
Yeah.
I do understand that people's concerns, and poor people, whatever, but
Oh my
I
gosh.
think in the end, they can just get past that. The right one, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes it's hard to see the greater good, you know, it's, this is my slice of life, this is how I'm going to affect it, this is right.
And I understand their view on that, I mean, we're not saying anybody, this is terrible,
I normally have it up.
but I think if they can get past that initial shock or like reality in a little bit, that they're mostly should come to the realization that, hey, this is a good thing.
Well, I've seen it before too.
I mean, everybody in this town knows this to here is like an absolute embarrassment for a community like ours to drive a vehicle from there. It's freaking embarrassing that there is a street that bad in a town like this. You know, yeah, but not in person. It's horrible.
But I've met residents who have been like against the project, and you're out there doing the observation, and they just kind of pissed off at you, you know, they can't get into this, and it's just like,
We're gonna do the best we can, so you have
Everybody should understand. You're not out to stomp anybody.
business or ruin anything, or one like.
And only fools would jump to that conclusion, because I know that's not how it'll be. I know every possible concession will be made to make this as painless as it can be for everybody. That's just how it's gonna work, and I know it.
and then you get done with the project.
So, she's actually.
Yeah.
You know, once you guys got the, you know,
Breathing out.
yeah, you get up in our yard, you dug in there, put in that pot, and all this other stuff, and then it's, you get done, and it's like, this looks real nice, and.
Her face was red.
Sorry for.
Oh my God.
You know, so it's getting to that, you know, so it's getting it in their head that, hey, this is, yes,
That you want to go
it's gonna be a little bit different, it's gonna impact your summer and, you know, for a while, but once it gets, it's all said and done, it's gonna be a nice investment in the community. It's a launching point that.
And that's just her personality.
I know.
Really,
Wait, you could.
like, as of do whatever you want, and like.
Hardware store with like that, grocery store with like that.
I kind of don't know what to do with it.
I'm just really excited about the new party infrastructure.
I would love to know the story about how this ever came to be. That would be a nice story to hear.
Flooding.
Yeah, it's just.
Your main north, south, or doesn't line.
All of them don't line up, even like this one doesn't even line up, that one doesn't line up.
Right.
Crazy ones that are
Yeah,
here.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, so.
And to an extent,
Well, this one, I think this one was planted.
right, that's what I'm saying, you can tell that at a certain point, things were laid out with the idea, but then this being painted, like, hey, we don't want to waste space on the road, let's, you know, I can understand that completely.
I'm sure they've been the original planted.
That's original plan.
And then it was, you know,
Was that, like, we did it.
that's a long water, the whole way.
People over here, yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be like 3 tracks.
Yeah, and then there was, there used to be this used to be a big lumber yard before that burnt down in '68, and then like, you know, and, there used to be all kinds of stuff.
It's like, I don't know, I would never know, but it's pretty, like,
And you hear about like this, you know, that's not new. This was put there after this was put there. But yeah, there's interesting history along those ways, I'm sure.
If no one likes to be.
Probably there used to be like, you know, no flower, you know, something always talking that way.
Like, highly slow, like,
Yeah.
color, but
People talk about promoting I can remember when the House unloaded paper from train cars at that.
we just like play with them, like announcing all the songs.
Yeah, they pull up on the side of there, and start loading up, and unload the paper rolls and taking the paper rolls.
Who knows what? With the shoes in
The
them.
recent
And
was
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh, you can ask me the questions, and all your sister will come up with some fun questions. And like, my sister and I have a horses day, and we can walk on.
$20 siding, your chicken and a train.
So your sister and I.
Sure, they love that.
Here, and you have no truck track.
Big idea. And then the trains are blocking the road and talking to
So that's another one, that's happened, I know that's all the way out here to do with the elevator, well, and there's change and, out there, good God, I mean, there's times where this intersection right here is blocked for 45 minutes straight.
And
Well,
there,
and I know what would happen if somebody has a heart attack or a fire or whatever, and I know they go, oh, you know.
but when they are one, I know Rob's had it all and everything.
You know, there's been many
They
times
can't all agree
where
or block.
these are blocked and the one that's Taylor's
Yeah.
are all blocked.
I thought it was, I'd say block it more.
Not true, it doesn't happen.
I think it's supposed to, but
That's what I guarantee you that. Guarantee. So then people go all the way up and around and come in,
Yep, I
you know,
do.
up and over, right?
That's come on, and I checked with
How do you do? I've had times where it's like, oh, it's time for lunch and I can't get out of here. I'll go all the way up and around, I'll get some lunch somewhere and I come back, it's gotta be gone now. Shit, it's still there, all the way back around again. And then invariably I put it in park and start walking into my shop and it starts moving.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah.
Alright, well, you better figure out that. I will. I will come to something for sure. I won't skip it all. I will. Well, on Saturday, I have to go do the robotics from 5:15 in the morning to like 6:30 at night.
Oh,
I have to be
I didn't, my first full day went in St. James at 7.
Isn't the gravel lot?
I'm going to take a tree off, you know, on the sidewalk.
Where is? Oh, you're gonna go to that? So I'm gonna be, like I said, you're going to. Yeah, I need a helicopter.
You're good, I don't really like it, but okay. That kind of thing, but it wasn't. Well, the one day they would you go through your decisions and decide to put it on this side? It's like, oh, that one block already has it there, so we have to go one other block. And that slopes of what's available for, you know, the right away, where we put it on the side is really challenging. I thought that I know if we'll be able to go in there. I'll put in the, that, but.
Oh, yeah, sorry.